What's up? What's up? What's up, everyone? Hello. Thank you all for joining us today. I am super, super excited about this show. I need an intro. I need intro music and a theme. Miss Denise, if you're listening, I need your help on that. I just noticed that I don't have any of those things. But anyway, I'm super excited about today. Two folks who are super dope and doing really, really crucial work are going to be on. One of them happens to be someone who is the apple of my eye, who I've loved for a long time, really good homegirl of mine. But today we have Miss Shannon May Musgrove and Ralph Godbolt on today to talk about their work with the basic needs shop at Bloomsburg University. So this show was super important and exciting to me, because of the way that they approached this free store, essentially, right? And we're not unfamiliar with the free store concept, right? We have several in the Pittsburgh area and in other places as well. But what stuck out to me about what they did was the intention behind it. How they are holding Blackness and multicultural needs and just dignity and respect, right? Treating and teaching people like people, even when we're being in community with one another, making sure that folks feel loved and supported and not making folks feel less than. And I think that was absolutely crucial. I think it's important that we treat our folks like human beings, just generally. So just for a quick little snapshot of what this looks like, because I am so excited. I'm going to show y'all a quick video of what the shop looked like at one point as they were, I think it was the one that they're designing, or it might be the one that, as it runs right now. Let me pull up this video really quickly.
It's a video, simply. Don't ever touch my Gucci do-rag in your life. How can you do-rag and that's your nose mask? Oh, it's a video. And I've got beard in the house. Thank you. I got everything. I got all my beard washes stuff in the house. I'm going to get my hair cut.
Whew, look how clean that is. Look how crispy that is. It's an actual store with clean, new products. You couldn't really, I don't know if you've seen it in the video, but there was hair care products for Black folks, right? There's all of these things. It's dope. So I'm excited. Clearly, I'm super excited about this. So without further ado, I think it's ado. I'm gonna bring up Shannon and Ralph. What's up, y'all? How y'all doing today?
Hey, family.
What's up? Good afternoon.
How y'all doing today?
Well, I can't complain. It's good to be here.
I'm feeling good. That weather outside, a little vitamin D did me good today. And I needed it.
Girl. Girl, sure. I think we're all kind of when the slaves from the Wiz come out and can you see a brand new day? That's me. I feel like that's all of us, so I don't feel weird about it. No more weird than I usually feel. So,
It's like this spring is extra special because you have, you're coming off of 2020, locked in the house, social distancing. So it's nice to feel some fresh air on our skin. So yeah, no, I feel you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so weird that we're still in this weird existence with the pandemic and just life being upside down.
Mm-hmm.
But the sun definitely helps. At least we can stretch out a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
So I am so very appreciative that you all agreed to be here today. Shannon, we go back like 10 years or so now. Somewhere.
Yeah. Before I moved out of the city to work in higher ed is when we met. So yeah, about 10 years.
Oh.
Yeah.
Special times.
You.
Yeah. So when you first posted about the basic needs shop, I looked at it and just reading the narrative and the fact that it spoke to the needs of Black people. I was like, oh yes, I'm all here for it. What can I do to help? or what, you know, how can we be involved? How can we connect? Whatever. But the conversation that we had about it, like, you know, just like the, you know, it coming to fruition, like the intention behind it, like the way that you spoke about Ralph and his intention, I was like, oh, people need to know this. Like, people got to know what y'all are doing. Like, that's super, super dope. Like, so I definitely appreciate y'all being willing and open to being a part of this. Ralph, when you and I got connected through Shannon, like that energy definitely did not change. I was like, yes, yes, yes. And clearly I still am. Had a lot of coffee, so now y'all are in this world with me right now. So, my excitement and the caffeine. So with that, can y'all tell us, like, how did this get started? Like, what sparked this intention here?
Thank you, Shannon. So both Shannons. So let's walk this back to 2017. Um, there's a program that's a state program called Act 101. So Bloomsburg is lucky to house an Act 101 program, Clarion, I believe Slippery Rock, with 34 institutions across the state. The Act 101 primarily, well, by law, serves lower income students, primarily urban students, so primarily students from the Philadelphias and Pittsburgh and Harrisburgs. So 2017 cohort at Bloomsburg, for about over 100 students come into Bloomsburg. They're happy to start this educational journey, but only 45% of those students remain the next academic year. Right, and so we lost 55% of students from our communities. Shannon and I came into that work, which is part of the Office of Access and Success, in 2018, and we both said this is unacceptable. So, we started some intensive programs to serve our population of students, primarily the Emerging Scholars Program, which embraces culture and hip hop and poetry and the Harlem Renaissance, right, as a way to help engage our students in the educational process. Because this program is so intensive, we have, the ability to develop very close relationships with students, and as students feel comfortable sharing their needs, their struggles. And I'm going to ask Shannon to talk about a program called See Yourself Healthier, Happier, that directly led to a basic needs shop. But let me make one more point on emerging scholars. Because this program is so intensive, that 45%, who were in 2017, who were still there 2018, the 2019 cohort, so those came in last year, still there 64%. So in 2 years, because we were very intentional with the work, we increased the first to second year retention rate about 19%. And Shannon, you could jump in and talk a little bit about the See Yourself and how that led to basic needs shop.
All right. Well, first I have to ask you to come back and give a little taste of what a rap session looks like, right? Because it's really your brainchild and something you trained me to do. And I want you to really share what that sacred space, in the words of our students, really looks like, because from that developed See Yourself Healthier and Happier. So I think it's important to share your vision and your skill set, and how my vision and skill set kind of really kind of merged and married at one point. So give us an example of a rap session.
So let me talk extraordinarily briefly a little bit. So, if I'm a student in the Emerging Scholars Program, there's an expectation that I'm participating about 5 to 6 hours a week in tutoring, study halls, things of that nature, right? For a student, that could be a little boring, maybe a little intimidating, as you're coming in. And so the cornerstone of Emerging Scholars is something called the rap session. And, what happens is students are so engaged in the rap session that, now participating in study halls, everything else, because, okay, I have to do study hall in order to do the rap session. So what the rap session is essentially small group conversation, right? So, with the goal of using culture to engage students in very intensive conversations that are based on trust. A good example may be a Meek Mill song, right? Now, I love Oodles and Noodles Babies. Anyone who've heard that song knows that it's a song about trauma. And so, we may simply play the song and say, hey, does this song relate to you and how? And students will start to share how that song relates to them, right? And so what happens is now you have this very, at times, emotional, sacred space. Again, the need to really have that sense of trust with each other. That it allows us to see students who may be experiencing issues of trauma and connect them with, with therapy if needed. We're lucky to have a therapist attached to our office. So yeah, so that rap session, and even you listen to the term rap session, right? It's that cultural history there. So the goal of that rap session is to really, have students engaged in some very deep conversations, but that generally, starts with something that relates to our culture.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, it was important for folks to understand the rap sessions, right? And how do we develop the relationships in order to move the work forward? So, with your brainchild, our first year in Act 101, I was serving as assistant director, and I had an opportunity to host my own rap sessions, right, with students. So this particular day, I actually wasn't even prepared, right? I was like, man, I don't know what to talk about tonight. I'll just go in there. We're going to talk about art and life, and what does this thing called art and life, what do they have to do with each other? So I went in, and journaling is a big part of the rap sessions as well. And students usually open up in a journal prompt, right? And we know that journaling uh, has a lot of meaning behind healing and connection. Students also know that we read their journals, so oftentimes we'll have students write messages that they kind of want us to see, right? So it's another safe space that we've created within the program. So I walked in and I said, hey, all right, what we're going to do today, take out your journals and tell me, does art reflect life or does life reflect art? Right. And so that started in some discussion, and it was kind of some folks on one side, the other, and others on one side. So I said, what the general consensus was, right, is what we know, that life, art reflects life, right? And the things that are happening in individuals' lives, artists really capture and express what happens in life through art. So I asked everybody to take um, a life event and either draw a picture, write a rhyme or a poem or something else that's expressive and artistic to express this life event. And that was it. That's all I had planned for the day. We were going to, and the students really started to love this idea. So that became a whole talent show, right? Like this 1 hour that we had together came into its talent show. They say, well, can I read my poem? Another student was like, well, I want to, rap my rhyme. And another student wanted to share her picture. And out of this rap session, what I learned was, and this was in late April. So for those who are tuning in, a college semester ends in early May. So what I learned in late April, after spending a year with my students, that I had 3 students in this rap session who was struggling with a home insecurity. And that was alarming. We weave different holistic experiences, yoga, meditation, mindfulness into the program as well. So here I am at the end of the semester, and I go to Ralph. I'm like, Ralph, we have to do something. And he's used to me doing this. We have to do something for these students, right? Because they don't have a home to go home to, or home is unsafe for this summer. And that was the creation of this idea, see yourself healthier and happier. So what we did was we developed this um, programmatic approach to helping students navigate home and food insecurity. And that includes housing, and Ralph, you're gonna have to jump in here, see if my memory can get through all 8. Housing, financial literacy, food and nutrition, education, self-empowerment, and um, literacy skills. So we did a book club. What am I missing?
Employment. So
Employment.
ideally students are
Yes.
employed, but some students who may face home insecurity may not have access to a birth certificate or social security card. So maybe just preparing students for employment.
Yeah. Thank you. Then that was actually a big piece, because this particular program, the way the vision was set, but of course, there was a couple roadblocks that we discovered that our students needed to navigate. One being employment, right? So the idea was, at this time, this has now changed since COVID, students have to have 20 hours of work in order to even receive SNAP benefits. So that's a huge barrier for a full-time student to now have to work 20 hours just to get food stamps to be able to provide for themselves, right? So the way the model was supposed to work, and I think we're still working through it, COVID with some interruption, that we can pair students with employment that would enrich their experience for their college education. Through employment, 20 hours a week, we now can help them navigate the application so they can receive food stamps. And then Ralph developed an amazing relationship with our foundations office to help students receive housing at a discounted rate, right? So now we have employment that will help with this cost of their housing, help with food stamps, right? And then the other piece was that we would start educating students on food and nutrition. We actually had gone to Pittsburgh, and Ralph, I'll let you kind of speak to this as well. We went to Pittsburgh on a trip called Out of the Classroom into Community. So we have three young women who were participating in the See Yourself Healthier and Happier program. We go to Pittsburgh to a community called Homewood. So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Pittsburgh area, right? Homewood is an underserved community in Pittsburgh. So through this, another brainchild event of Ralph's was Out of Classroom into Community. We went into Homewood, and these three young women, through the See Yourself Healthier and Happier program, now was able to engage in the community garden in Homewood, right? And start the interest of learning how to grow their own food and being self-sufficient. So some of these passions where Ralph's brainchild and his talents and skills, and then me coming in being a yogi, right, and really being interested in holistic modes of healing. These two things merge in this program, right? See Yourself Healthier and Happier. Those three students, we now know, right? Home food insecurity shows up in the classroom. It shows up in our bodies. It shows up in our classrooms. You can't possibly focus on your classes if you're hungry. So we have these three students actually end that semester all on academic probation, which is below a 2.0. And these three students now having to navigate losing some financial aid as well. So we do some programming through the summer. They engage with yoga. If you're on my Facebook, you probably actually saw me doing some yoga with these young women over the summer. We've done some yoga together, learned some journaling. I went on the Pittsburgh trip, and the students also were working in the classroom. So in a retention initiative, Ralph was also be able to bridge some gaps where students were having barriers to paying for the classes because they lost their financial aid, all because they're hungry, right? Like all because they don't have stability at home. So through this program, we were able to retain the students, all three students. And Ralph, correct me if my facts are wrong. All three students were off of academic probation. And we're talking 2 years later, two of the three students are still working towards persistence to graduation. And have stability in housing and food now. So that was where within this model, we really had an opportunity to learn where the students were struggling and how to meet that need. So this was in what, 2018, Ralph?
18, 19, yep.
Yeah, 18, 19, where we started to realize where the students' needs were. I'll take a pause and see if you want to jump in there, Ralph.
Thank you, Miss Shannon. And I want to it's I think what happened after the summer of 19, the team, yourself, myself, and our team, recognized that home and food insecurity was an issue. Right? What the research tells us is that there's this growing concern across the country of food insecurity in relation to college students. And again, specifically college students who come from the Pittsburghs or the Philadelphias or the Harrisburgs. And so after summer of 19, we really moved full steam ahead to say we need to start addressing this issue. We need to be bold in doing so. And then I think that work is what eventually led to, the basic needs shop.
Yeah, I can fill in some of the how to's as well. So as we started to identify more students who had a food insecurity specifically, there were some programs that we had that were currently serving students, but there's some barriers there. Some food pantries are housed in churches. And, if you're a Muslim student, you can't enter a religious building. So that was one barrier that we found to some local resources. Another barrier, and one that I think Shannon, you and I, we kind of have some similarity here, right? Like, you can't hand somebody a bag of food and say, be grateful, right? Like, I just think that's so dehumanizing. I was actually a kid who had experienced going to food pantries, right, when I was younger, and those food banks and grabbing food, right? And it's just a dehumanizing process. Most people who have a need want to provide for themselves. I think all people want to provide for themselves, right? And most people who can't want to be able to contribute something, So it's just dehumanizing to hand someone a bag of food, not consider what their dietary needs or restrictions are, and just say be grateful, right? And some of these I found weren't really the best solution for students. So it was through the FIA COVID stimulus relief funds that we received in the fall. That was really the driving force to the food pantry. So Ralph stepped up to a very important role at Bloomsburg, which was the dean of students, right? So making huge impact there. I think that's a whole nother podcast, right? And like, how do you implement restorative justice in higher education? How do you navigate this to complement mental health? I think he's doing some dope work over there. And then I had to step into this role. Right now, I'm director of Act 101. So I couldn't go bug Ralph, like, Ralph, give me money, right? Because it was always just, give me money. And he's like, well, let me look at the budget, right? So I was like, oh, no, I got $400,000 and I don't have Ralph to tell me no. I don't know. This isn't good for spending. I'm not the budget person, right? Like, I would spend all the money. But because FIA had this COVID relief stimulus pack, they awarded us $400,000. And our administrative assistant, who's a huge contributor, just the emotional labor and love that she put into this space, she said it best. It was like Brewster's Millions. We was running around trying to figure out how to spend all this money, trying to collect receipts, make sure we're in the grant guidelines. And I had a really great conversation with a supporter from FIA to say, hey, here goes this idea. How far can I go with this? And which was the basic needs shop. And she said, go, just go and dream as big as you can. So it started off with the idea that this would be a shop, right? Like, go in, grab what you need, no questions asked, and that's it. So we had to find the space. We found this space slightly off campus. It's a huge room. So we were able to buy shelving and then start sending out a couple surveys to students to figure out where their needs were. And it started in the actual office space. So we were buying hair products. We were buying non-perishable food items, and then some other items that students may have needed, blankets, right? We're talking about moving home or staying in your apartment during COVID. And if you're having a home insecurity, right, that doesn't mean that you're homeless. That could also mean that you can't pay utilities. That could also mean that your living conditions aren't up to your full needs, not meeting your full needs. So the basic needs shop currently is a shopping experience for students that houses with intention multicultural hair products, non-perishable foods with options for vegan options, which is Black-owned companies that we have stocked on the shelves as well. We also have Honey Pot, which is Black-owned feminine care products, but also organic care products. So these intentionally placing these products on the shelves starts a whole nother conversation to educate students about options for their health and their needs. We also have men and women suits. So for students to come in for job interviews, because that's a barrier for students as well, and other basic need clothing. So winter boots, jackets, sweatshirts, workout gear. Sometimes people have an insecurity that I don't want to go work out because I don't have the clothes, right? Because society tells you gotta look cute when you work out. So these are all the things that are currently housed in the basic needs shop. And now Ralph is the brainchild in moving this forward and getting everything in the hands of the students. I have now left Bloomsburg and started a mission at Susquehanna contribute to what's already there to make sure that students of color are seen and their needs are being met. So Ralph, I know you have some plans to roll out the red carpet, right? Like roll out the whole red carpet and tell the whole world.
I want to really quickly. I want to pause really quickly and go back to a couple of things that you said, Shannon. First of all, the fact that we're both named Shannon is always a thing. Every time Ralph says Shannon, I'm like, huh? I don't know. um, Constant struggle. But I want to go back to, I want to definitely underscore what you said about, handing people a bag of food that they might not eat or whatever and expecting them to be grateful. We hear that a lot, like, in these giving communities. Unfortunately, and just generally, like the way that folks can find themselves conceptualizing support for community can be really, really violent and dehumanizing, as you said, like to be a person on a receiving end of so-called support. And that support is given in this really kind of like less than, like, thinking about, our own neighbors as being less than. And I'm so great for giving you like these like Kit Kats and whatever and dry cereal, whatever. Which, like, I think giving is beautiful, but I think like it's important that where it's coming from is also very important, because what we don't want to do is, put people in a position where they feel worse after receiving what, people think as being help. We know plenty of folks. So on the other side, one of the other sides of myself is the Wellness Collective. And, like plenty of the folks that we engage with are neighbors, right? Because like, I'm no different than anybody, like we're just neighbors doing stuff for our neighbors, doing stuff for and with our neighbors. But there's plenty of folks that we encounter who will not go and seek help because they don't want to be traumatized in the process. Like, they're not going to have their dignity stripped away from them. It's super, super important. And I feel that, like 100%, I feel that, so the fact that you all have been so intentional to make sure that like folks know, like, look, like we're here, like this is us, like, your family, your community, we're here supporting each other because like we're in this together, like in that, how people say it, like doing that intentionally. And even down to the products that y'all stock, I cannot stress this enough. When I saw, and let me see if I can pull up the pictures.
It's a video, Cynthia. Don't ever touch my Gucci do-rag in your life. You do-rag and let your nose mask. Oh, it's a video. I got that beard in the house. Thank you. I got everything. I got all my beard wash stuff in the house. I'm just going to get my hair cut.
That's just out. That's out for me. So like I cannot underscore this enough. And I want to make sure, as much as I can say it, like I'm going to continue to say like that is absolutely beautiful. So I'll step back and stop running my mouth, but I wanted to say that.
I did want to just make a quick comment that and Ralph, you taught me this, right? And I need to make sure that I say that, because Ralph is a huge contributor in my success in my career, and certainly helping me continue to be student focused. And with the money that we receive, he also taught me that when folks of color have budgets, right? Like, how are we, now that we have power and budgets, pushing that back into community, right? He's very intentional in bringing up the everyday hero of the community to speak at the university, right? And allowing that connection to happen with folks that students feel most comfortable with, students identify with, and experience, and culture is so important, not just in that piece, that human to human, but because of that teaching and him pouring into me in that way, there was a lot of intentionality in making sure that we worked with Black-owned vendors, right? So all of those hair products came from Martian, Maine, in Philadelphia, owned by a Black female, Janae Robinson. She's doing some amazing work down there with natural hair products, doing a lot of holistic workshops. And a lot of our students at Bloomsburg, or Bloomsburg students, come from the Philadelphia area, right? So they may come into the shop and see some small businesses that aren't represented on mainstream. And that's another piece. A lot of those products, while we have the Carol Daughters, we have Shea Moisture, we have all these other products, we also have some products that you may never have heard of because they're also coming from Black owned small businesses through Martian, Maine. Honey pot, I mentioned honey pot, and then there's also some vegan non-perishable meals that are Black owned, that we found on Amazon, right? So there's some intentionality of Google searching, making sure like what is out there. And Ralph, I know I'm like being bossy, right? But I'm like, Ralph, I know I'm not there anymore, but can you host some programs and like bring all of these owners up, right? And Ralph and I, we had this connection. So anybody from Pittsburgh, like we had this connection, right? Because we started working together. Never knew Ralph until started working at Bloomsburg, and he lived 10 minutes from me, right, in Pittsburgh. Like we grew up in almost the same neighborhood. So the work and all the intentionality of it was so easy to do when you have somebody, you're working hand in hand with, and you have the same vision, you have the same deep passion to serve community and students. And I'm so grateful for that because, Ralph has certainly helped me see how you can do that as a person of color in higher ed with intentionality, because there's still some roadblocks to how we do the work. And I think fresh food, right, Ralph, was one of our roadblocks, is that we really wanted to have fresh food, but having the space that would complement that was a little bit of a roadblock.
What was the barriers that you all experienced as far as stocking fresh food?
As Ms. Shannon mentioned, and working with budgets, you're held to sometimes the limitations of those budgets, right? And so the Act 101 FIA budget, allowed us to start the process of creating the basic needs shop, but limited food to non-perishable items. And so, going forward, what needs to happen is that we build relationships with the local supermarkets, ideally with, small farms, but we build those relationships and we raise some additional funding that's now not state funding, if that makes sense. That allows us to expand, what's offered at the basic needs shop. And so definitely one of my goals is more produce. Well, is produce. But let me tell you an extraordinarily fast story. As Ms. Shannon mentioned, I was serving dean of students, and part of the job of dean of students is student conduct. And we saw as Shannon and the team were working, doing great work in developing the basic needs shop. On my end, I started to see more and more citations come in from students, being charged with retail theft at the local Walmart. And I had a conversation with one student, and she said, hey, Mr. Ralph, I'm not gonna lie, I stole because I didn't have money to buy what I was looking to buy. And we had that conversation. And then, she mentioned, as she's attempting to leave the store, and if they come in and take her back. And Mr. Ralph, the manager, was so nice, because, he allowed me, he said, can you talk the produce, and now we can't pay it back, so you can take the produce home. He was so nice, Mr. Ralph. Now I'm thinking to myself, well, he still press charges. I'm not sure how nice, but take that aside. And I said, well, look, one of your sanctions, therefore it's going to be, you and I, we work together to start doing outreach, to local businesses, to partner with us to bring in fresh produce to the basic needs shop, right? And so even there, going to Shannon's point about restorative justice, right? To be able to say your sanction is to develop a way to develop these partnerships that's going to help not only that student, but other students that we serve. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, the progress that we're able to make in the next 6 months to a year.
That's
Oh, I'm sorry, Shannon.
I wasn't gonna say no. Go ahead.
No, and I just wanted to remind Ralph, you had a phenomenal idea as well, when we had visited the urban garden, and having students do some internships. And there's always that possibility for students to grow their own food, depending, what's in the community. Well, I guess now I'm a community member, so, I can always help grow some food.
Very true. Very true.
But those are some possibilities.
That's super real. The fact that these kids are being charged with stealing produce like apples and such, or like just whatever you would need from a Walmart, which is food or like, hygiene products or whatnot, like these basic needs, right? And that's typically what it is, right? We definitely look at shoplifting statistics. The narrative around shoplifting is really like damning for people who are like, without, because it's typically stuff that folks need, right? And so like it criminalizes our folks, but it doesn't necessarily look at the fact that if someone is stealing food or deodorant or toothpaste, there's a deeper reason here, right? Like, and instead of focusing on that deeper reason, we're focusing on like, oh, well, you stole something, you broke the law. Like, I absolutely believe crime is out of necessity, always, it's always out of necessity. And it's on us, like, as a society to look at like, all right, this thing happened. And though there's impact here, what happened to cause this in the first place? We need to dig up that, because if we dig up the cause, the root of it, then we don't have to deal with like, petty crime, which isn't really crime, it's survival. So definitely, like, I'm just so floored at the fact that you all have this intention, and that's not uncommon for us, right? For Black folk, like that's not uncommon for us. But the fact that y'all are in the positions that y'all are in, right? Because like what I do, quite frankly, find to be quite common is that we'll have our folks in position and don't necessarily carry in that intention with them, and so we don't see that reflecting in the work. So like the fact that it's reflecting in y'all work in this really real way, right? In this really powerful way is appreciated. Thinking about fresh food, right? So I remember being a college student. Food was like noodles, burgers, like just stuff that I can get my hands on. So thinking about produce, especially like, with like the different, like really good food pantries with great fresh food. One of the barriers that we've, found and that has been found is that like not always folks know how to do like prepare the food that's given. So like if you're given like summer squash, and you're like, what is this? Like, I don't even know what this is. Or like, like I know what to do with these things, but I know like 3 recipes or like 4. And now I can't keep eating the same thing. Have y'all, and I'm just curious about this, like, have you all thought about how to bridge the barrier of like knowing how to, or different ways to prepare fresh produce?
Ralph, did you?
I'm sure we're going to say the same thing, so I was going to let you jump in.
I was like, is he frozen? Should I jump in? All right. So the first year when we talked about the 3 students that stayed, right, we actually built into that model the food and nutrition piece of See Yourself Healthy and Happier. This is pre basic needs shop cooking demonstrations, because we were now moving students from freshmen from on campus housing to an apartment. And sometimes there's that, I was that student. I didn't know what I was doing, right? Like my dad bought me a deep fryer after school. He's working 2 jobs after school. I throw my chicken and my French fries in there, and I'm good. I'm on my way. And so cooking is a barrier, just learning the basic skill of cooking. So we actually had a really dedicated admin assistant then, who was working with our students and teaching them how to cook. She would go and buy the foods as a cooking demonstration, right? So now students are learning that skill set. And part of the basic needs shop, so you'll see me joking a lot with Ralph, and I'm like, roll out the red carpet, right? Because there was actually the plan was with some of these non-perishable vegan products, students are gonna walk past that, right? Unless you're vegan, you're intentionally, but it might be a new experience. And not to say you have to change your lifestyle right now, but you can incorporate healthier meals in there as well. So with fresh foods and vegan meals and some other options for students, the hope and dream is that we can actually bring folks in to do cooking demonstrations. And then now that gives opportunity to buy these fresh foods that students can recreate these meals, or at least know what to do. Like, what do you do with these bananas that are not going, that are going bad? Make some banana nut bread, or so there's some things that students can do that we just don't know. We just need a little love and care, and people to show us. I'll probably be tuning in. Maybe we can find some good folks from Pittsburgh to do some cooking demonstrations. I'll tune in too, so I can learn a couple things. Um, but that was, one of the intentions. Actually, the building that the basic needs shop is in, the floor above it, there's a kitchen, a full functioning kitchen in there, so students can actually sit and do cooking demonstrations post COVID, to be able to learn some new skills as well.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. And again, of course, like I recall you talking about like that cooking demonstration and the person that has been providing that space. And I'm just super, super excited about all of it. I just wanted to bring this back around because I really love these shirts. So May, you'll be getting yours here soon, but this is our shirt for the Wellness Collective. Excuse me, this one's a little wrinkly. But on the back of our shirts, it has, where's it at? Crime prevention. And then it's just like basic needs, right? And I really, really love these shirts because it does speak to that. So I was excited again, like just been excited about everything that you all have been doing and the intention behind it, and like speaking to like, yes, like this is the thing, this is the work, like, like it's working on the actual like barriers and challenges rather than criminalizing and punishing folks for trying to exist. Like, absolutely here for the whole thing.
Yeah, let me piggyback off of Ms. Shannon's point as well. Cooking demonstrations are extraordinarily important, and helping our students learn, to cook with, fresh produce is important. Going back to actually both of your points, having the opportunity to control the budget is important as well, right? So, as people are watching the podcast, who may have an interest in partnering with us to help our students expand their skills, right, of preparing fresh food, get in touch with us, right? Not only are we committed to buying, black-owned, buying from black-owned businesses, right? We're also committed to working with businesses and individuals to help teach our students, right? And so, folk who are out there who have that passion, for education, number one, but also for engaging with young people in terms of expanding their knowledge in terms of cooking, or engaging with young people in terms of helping people develop a community garden, which I would love to do here in Bloomsburg. But I mean, definitely connect with us, because we would love to work with you, and utilize our budget to make sure we're serving our students.
Can I piggyback on your piggyback?
You can piggyback on my piggyback.
That's what we do. We piggyback on the piggyback. um, in internships, because I know we talked about that as well. We promote paid internships because students of color are less likely to receive paid internships, and are the ones who need it most, right? We can't afford to not have a paid internship, because we tend to students who are low income rather tend to have more need, to work and have a paid. So that's something that is also an opportunity through Bloomsburg, and I guess Susquehanna as well. And the basic needs shop, has also opened up. It's like a snowball effect. One thing affects the other, and this also created jobs for students, to help with the basic needs shop just overall. So expansion all around us.
Yes. So someone had asked, is there a way for people to donate directly? Would they get in contact with you all? How would that go? How would that happen?
Sure, and I know you shared my email address. Sure, if they can shoot me an email, that would be great. We have a donor fund that actually supports the Student Self-Help and Your Happier program that therefore will support the Basic Needs Shop. So please feel free to shoot me an email. We'll make that happen.
Ralph, can I ask a question? Are you accepting monetary donations and materials, or what are your thoughts there?
hmm So yes, so definitely materials, definitely monetary donations. Again, hair care products, what have you. You know, in terms of materials, we would ask, that things be slightly used, if not new. We also, sometimes with people who may need the assistance, right? I may go into my closet and take out, my 20-year-old shoes that today's students, right, may not wear. It allows me to clean up my closet, but it's a benefit in the population of people we're attempting to benefit. So yes, so definitely monetary donate. I mean, excuse me, well, definitely monetary donations as well. But in terms of material donations, definitely, but I'm going to challenge myself, right, and everyone else to, as we're donating materials, let's ask ourselves, are these materials, um, that 18, 19, 20-year old, we're coming to the shop and choose to take off the shelves.
Yeah, so definitely prioritizing again, like the dignity of our people. Like if it's something that you wouldn't want, don't give it to anybody else. Nobody wants your trash.
You say it much much better than me.
Awesome, awesome. And Shannon, you had mentioned a little bit about Susquehanna, which is where you're at now. Did you want to talk a little bit about like, are they also looking at a similar model? Is there a potential for that, that overlap or that collaboration? Or
Yeah, so I just started at Susquehanna as director of Trio Student Support Services, serving first generation and low income students and students that have a documented disability. So a similar Population Act 101. And Susquehanna actually has a basic needs space. I'll call it a food pantry because right now it seems that it's food pantry. Now, I'm only 30 days in, so I want to make it very clear that what I've learned is probably just the iceberg of resources there. But I do know they have a food pantry. And one of the things that I've learned about this space and loved was that it's in a space that is open very late. Students can go in anytime with their ID up to about 10 or 10:30 at night. No questions asked. There's no one working there. You just go in and you grab what you need. So there's still that dignity piece where students just go in, right? They don't have to ask. They don't have to make their announcement that I need to use this space. They have full access anytime they need it. And then they also have a opportunity for students to put on like a whiteboard, like what do you need? So now students can actually make requests of what products to be there. If I hope to have an opportunity to serve on the, I think it's a housing and food insecurity committee, to make sure that I, continue to work in where my passions and talents lie. But I think Susquehanna certainly has done a good job starting that conversation. I'm not sure what other resources are there, so I'm hoping that there's some opportunity for like a basic needs shop, right, to expand to winter clothing, to maybe capture in a programmatic way students who are having a home insecurity, and maybe making sure that students are getting jobs and their full needs being taken care of. But those things may already exist. But I think that there is certainly room for students of color to be seen and heard as well. Right, hair products is expensive, and that's just point blank. And that's one thing that I hope to see represented as well. But they're doing a great job, so I'm just here to help and provide my service wherever they need.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And if anyone would like to reach out to Shannon Mate, her email is listed here as well. This is like two heads of the same giant right here, Ralph and Shannon. Yeah, so where it is now, what's the vision for the basic needs shop moving forward? Where do you all see it being?
I'm gonna let Ralph answer, because one of the hardest things for me to walk away from at Bloomsburg, and what prompted the post that you saw, Shannon, right, was this space. So, but I am very peace. I'm at peace knowing that it's in the hands of Ralph, because I know for a fact that he's student centered, community centered. So whatever vision that he has, I'm here to support. But I just had to say my piece on it, Ralph, because you're gonna drive it forward. I know you will.
Susquehanna's gain is definitely Bloomsburg's loss. And it's my goal to get Miss Shannon back at Bloomsburg as soon as possible. If any Susquehanna folk are listening, I apologize, but just being honest. um, so I see the basic needs shop expanding. I think expanding the offerings at the shop. Again, then we talked about that fresh produce, right? So expanding those opportunities. Engaging our students in cooking demonstrations, I think is going to be extraordinarily important. So I see this expand in terms of number of students served, and in terms of how we're serving students. You know, as importantly, I believe there's well, hopefully the basic needs shop is a catalyst to a larger conversation. One, the need to recognize that food insecurity, basic needs insecurity, is an issue not just at Bloomsburg, but colleges, universities across the country, of course, and communities across the country. So hopefully, the basic needs shop at Bloomsburg can start those conversations, and then hopefully, basic needs shop also start the conversation of how do we best serve students, who may struggle with home or food insecurity. Going to a point I think both of you made, how can we partner with the Walmarts of the world, right, and ask them to refer students back to us instead of pressing charges as the students attempting to, to gain access to toothpaste or, apples and oranges. So there's I think the opportunity to literally expand the work of the basic needs shop, to expand the what's offered at the shop, to expand opportunities for fresh produce, to partner with folks, expand opportunities for cooking demonstrations, but also utilize the basic needs shop as a catalyst for much larger and very important conversations.
And like you would say, Ralph, to make it a national model.
That's it, definitely.
That's amazing. I'm so looking forward for it, right? Because I'm definitely a huge uh advocate for us relying on systems to save us, not our bodies, not our individuals. I think the work that we do, like the hard work that we do, is absolutely amazing. But when we need to step back, we have the thing has to continue to go. And if we are relying on our bodies to do it, our giving spirits to do it, it's going to break down every time. So creating the system so that when Shannon May needs to take a step back, when Ralph needs to take back, when I need to take a step back, the thing keeps going, in this basic needs shop and everything else that y'all mentioned, right? Like not only the basic needs shop, but the rap sessions and like the programs here to Pittsburgh, like all of these things, like these are all systemic, right? Like you're creating systems for lasting impact. Like that's what it's all about for me. Like that's what it is. So I am super excited to see how this continues to grow in the community, the microcosm of Bloomsburg and Susquehanna, but also how does that permeate into the actual communities that they sit in? And how does that permeate out to our broader or bigger community, right? Our community at large. I'm here for the whole thing. I'm here for all parts of it. I'm so appreciative of both of y'all. So before we cut out for today, is there anything else? Is there anything that's coming up? Like, do y'all have events that's coming up? Is there fundraisers that's coming up? Is there anything that you all want to mention before we say peace for today?
I'll let you jump in, Miss Shannon.
I could feel you staring me down through the screen. Uh, so I just started at Susquehanna, right? And Shannon, you made a point, right, that we are two heads on the same giant. Ralph really created this beautiful vision for emerging scholars out of the classroom into the community. Merging with some of the skill sets that we both have, and the See Yourself Healthier and Happier initiative taking off, and then Me Time, which also focuses on yoga and meditation. And so at Susquehanna, just 30 days in, but the goal is to recreate, right, this model and continue to work with Ralph in the capacity of seeing how this works at a private school, how it works at a state school, right, and continue to train on this model and consult other schools on this model. For us, I just started, and I'm going to keep saying that because all support is welcome, right? If you are someone who's watching who feels that you have a special message to share, with first generation low income and students who may have a disability, you are welcome to contact me. Would love to work with you. If you are someone that's in a position that you want to make a monetary donation, we have opened up a TRIO fund specifically for TRIO students. The hope is to capture the basic needs with that fund first, and then scholarship second. And so that those are some areas that you can support. I am someone who is always open for creative ideas. So if something popped up in your creative mind and you're like, oh, maybe they should try this, please send your ideas. I'm open to collaborating and growing and expanding with community outside of the higher ed. So I'm just open.
I think Shannon makes a point, and I'm extraordinarily happy that Shannon's taken the work that she helped to build right with emerging scholars and out of the classroom with Cedar. So it's taken it now to Susquehanna, and I know both my goal, her goal is to have conversations with colleges, universities across the country to expand this model. I want to reiterate the year before we came, only 45% of our students were retained into the second year. The 2019 cohort, 64% of their students are retained, right? That retention rate is going to continue to increase based on things like the basic needs shop, right? The more deliberate services and support we're able to offer, the more students are able to stay connected to the university, graduate, go back, make an impact in their communities. One of the things I would like to share, something we have coming up. We actually plan to introduce this maybe March of last year, but COVID hit. Right. Again, Shannon mentioned, I'm from Pittsburgh. She's from Pittsburgh. And I had the opportunity to grow up with Camille Smith. For those who know, Camille, she's the grandmother of baby Marcus, toddler who was shot and killed in a senseless act of gunfire. And one of the things that we've put in place, we haven't announced because we were planning to announce last March, but it's the Marcus White Jr. Fund. And to honor to honor baby Marcus's memory, but to also recognize and honor the work of the Smith family. And that fund will support basic needs of students, things such as books and clothes, detergent, and pens and paper. So, it's something we haven't talked about a great deal as of yet. Shannon is extraordinarily excited about it. I am as well, and I know Camille is as well. And we're looking forward to making that official announcement hope as soon as possible, because we want that to be an announcement that's made in person, not necessarily virtually. So soon as we can work with Camille and her family to get them here, and we officially make that announcement. But I'm happy to at least make it here, and allow the great folk of Pittsburgh to know, that Bloomsburg, is committed to issues that's impacting our communities, and we're committed to attempting to make a change.
That's incredible. That is incredible. And definitely shout out to Miss Camille, baby Marcus, the whole family. They've been absolutely like champions and walking in purpose before, during, and after, the loss of the baby, their beautiful baby. So that's amazing. And again, when our folks are so intentional in the positions, like the fact that you all are so intentional in these really powerful positions that y'all are in, it changes things, right? It's pivotal. So that's beautiful. Thank you both for sharing that. Before we cut out, I do want to mention a couple of things. Since we are talking about just community support, I want to reiterate the Wellness Collective. It's local to Allegheny County. I'm the founder of it. But it's definitely, it's a community effort, right? We're not a nonprofit. We're a community group of neighbors, and we're figuring out how we're showing up and what we're doing, because ultimately our intention is to not become a new nonprofit on the block. We're just here to be infrastructure for the community. So again, we have the things that we need, right? We're just trying to build systems that's owned, operated, to the benefit of the community, right? So that we have the things that we need. So if anyone's interested or have a need or interested in getting involved, you can definitely hit us up on our website or learn a little bit more about us. And then we're involved in a number of different things. So one of the things we're involved in, many folks may already know, but there's a new round of funding coming out for, rent relief for renters. That'll open up tomorrow. You can hop online. You can go to the county website to sign up. It's online, so it's a little bit. It's a lot better facilitated than the last one, to be quite honest. But you can go online, do your application straight from there. It's pretty self-guided, self-explanatory. But if you do need a little extra help, you can definitely reach out to us for it. But we will also be facilitating a drop-in center in McKeesport. So you can come and check us out anytime between 10 and 6, starting tomorrow. We'll be open Monday through Friday in McKeesport. This is the address. It's in the Wonder Building. There'll be like an hour for a break time for our folks, but it'll be listed on the website, on the county website. So, if our folks on break, don't come there because we won't be there. But any other time, you can definitely come down, use the computer, use the printer, get some love and some support. And also other wellness collective things. So basic needs stuff like, shampoo, food, hygiene products, et cetera, baby items, et cetera. So that'll be starting tomorrow. And we'll be there for the next 8 months or so, or until the extent of this program runs out. And then also to that, again, this program is being released tomorrow. There is a town hall that's scheduled for Wednesday at 6 p.m. We're not facilitating it or anything. We just got the information of it, and we really, really want to make sure folks get on it. Participate in it or share the information, because somebody should definitely be a part of that. But we want to make sure that we're not only aware of the information, but our voices are heard, right? When these sorts of things take place. So it is Wednesday. You can check out the information. It's listed on our Facebook page. We created an event page so that people have access to the Zoom link. It'll be on Zoom. But you can check out, that information on our Facebook page. But yeah, generally, if you want to reach out to us, I'm always around. So that's, on the Wellness Collective side. This was a really great opportunity today. But this is the first time, I feel like this is the first time we had something happy to talk about. We usually talk about something rah-rah or something wild that's going on in the community, which I'm perfectly fine with because it's necessary. However, there's a lot of beauty, right? There's so many beautiful things that we do and contribute to and experience that doesn't get the type of acknowledgement and recognition that it deserves. And I'm so happy for y'all to be our inaugural episode for something positive and beautiful to talk about. So for anyone who's listening, if you have something positive and beautiful to contribute, to the podcast, please reach out. You can call, leave a voicemail, or text message. Our phone number is 412-453-6309, or you can email me at racialjusticeandmedia@gmail.com. Let us know either if you want us to make an announcement of something that's going on, or if you'd like to appear on the show, shoot us a quick message and we can rap about it. If you do have something that's a little heavier, like something that's gone on systemically with police brutality, like systemic violence in education, medical care, whatever the thing is that you feel like should be heard, or if you feel silenced and want to be heard, reach out. This is a community effort. Anything that I do is for people. So you're one of us. So if there's something that's going on and you want to be heard, reach out. We'll definitely make it happen. So to that, I want to thank you all once more. I'm so thankful for you. I'm thankful that you came onto the show and shared y'all beauty and y'all goodness with all of us on this Sunday. But I'm thankful for y'all existence. I'm thankful for your journeys, your paths. I'm thankful for whatever it is that's rooted inside of y'all that made y'all, so impassioned to go in the route that you're going, because, we definitely need y'all. We need y'all, And so I just want to say thank you and give y'all all the flowers. I love both of you all so very much because I'm so thankful for your existence.
Thank you for all that you're doing, the impact you're making. So thank you.
Yeah, and many, many, many thanks to you, Shannon. I know you for a long time now, so I've seen you doing the work for so long, right? And even this is another platform that you've created to make sure that voices are heard. Community is grown here in these spaces. So I'm forever thankful for you as well. And even just inviting us on to share this. You know, now we just got to get you to Bloomsburg to talk about, you know, all the things that you've been doing as well. So our students can continue to be inspired to know that they can do the work with a degree as well. You know, like those two, you don't have to trade off one for the other.
You know, and I think, Shannon, I don't know if you know Susquehanna is only 45 minutes from Bloomsburg. So the other Shannon, I think this may be a great opportunity to partner and bring up a dynamic speaker who can interact with Bloomsburg students also Susquehanna. So yes, let's
I love it. So
partner
we're
on
doing
that
joint
one. Yes.
programming. See,
Yes.
this is what happens when collective positive energy comes together. There we go. I see a self-care summit part 2 coming up. Just
Hey, look, I'm always down for a field trip, so let me know. But thank you all so much. Thank you all for sharing this time. It's beautiful today. The clouds have parted, you know, like, I mean, like the struggles are the struggles, but like the beauty is the beauty. So I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. I hope y'all have a beautiful, fantastic rest of your Sundays. And I'm looking forward to reconnecting soon, very, very soon.
all right.
All right.
Good.
Bye-bye.
Peace.